Jangxi woman faces legal action for reporting medical malpractice and protesting with real name on social media. Xi Jinping fights for economic recovery to attract private enterprises. But the problem is Xi Jinping. Chinese Communist Party faces organizational issues. Young people struggle to survive. Super Typhoon Du Su Rui will land in eastern Guangdong and the coastal areas of southern Fujian. Reports show China will have 10 million fewer babies each year. Analysts. Xi Jinping's authority face a major setback and the party is in crisis. Japan implements export control on chip equipment to strengthen blockade against the Chinese Communist Party. All will be covered today in China Undercover. Jangxi woman faces legal action for reporting medical malpractice and protesting with real name on social media. On July 24th, a citizen named Peng Lu from Yichun City, Jiangxi, made a public report on Weibo, accusing the local authorities of suppressing victims of the COVID-19 vaccine. Her daughter was vaccinated in 2021 and became disabled 10 days later. When they went to Beijing for treatment, they witnessed many vaccine victim families protesting. Taking photos at the scene would lead to a 3-year imprisonment. After her daughter's vaccination on November 5, 2021, she was diagnosed with immunological encephalitis with continuous epileptic seizures just over 10 days later. When Peng Lu sought answers from the local health authorities, they evaded responsibility by citing various coincidences and refused to take responsibility. By November 2022, her daughter's condition had not improved after a year, leaving severe aftereffects. Faced with no other option, Peng Lu took her daughter to seek medical help in Beijing. However, the situation worsened during their stay, and the doctors at Peking University told her there was little hope for recovery due to widespread brain discharges seen on the EEG. On December 1st, Peng Lu brought her disabled daughter to the National Health Commission of China to seek justice and question whether anyone would take responsibility for vaccine injuries. There, she witnessed vaccine victims wearing clothes that read COVID-19 vaccine causing death and disability, protesting and attracting onlookers. Peng Lu used her phone to record this genuine event of vaccine victims. However, taking those protest photos turned into evidence against her. On December 2nd, she was arrested and later released on bail. In April, when she sought permission to take her daughter back to Beijing for a follow-up, she was violently detained by 4 men, leaving her bruised and handcuffed. She was taken away, questioning what crime she had committed. She expressed frustration over constant threats and harassment from prosecutors and court every few days, especially when she planned to go to Beijing for her daughter's treatment. Peng Lu's husband couldn't handle the pressure and chose to divorce, while her workplace faced constant interference from government agencies, leading her to resign. She said, "Now I have lost my husband, my job, and my daughter is brain damaged. You kill people without shedding blood. Disregard human life. Give justice to me and my daughter." The topic of side effects from China's COVID-19 vaccine has been prevalent on social media, with many people claiming various illnesses such as cancer, leukemia, myocarditis, shingles, and hive, attributing them to the vaccine. Xi Jinping fights for economic recovery to attract private enterprises, but the problem is actually Xi Jinping. The Chinese government's efforts to support the private economy come as the country's economy faces a crisis and the state-owned enterprises are not sufficient to lead the economic growth effectively. However, under Xi Jinping's leadership, there's been a history of suppressing private enterprises. For instance, the term night market economy, a term describing government support for businesses operating in nighttime or to nighttime, advocated by Premier Li Keqiang, was rejected by Xi Jinping and later unified as street vendor economy. The phrase national advances, private retreats was also banned online. China's National Bureau of Statistics reported a second quarter GDP growth rate of 6.3, lower than the market's expectation of over 7, indicating a significant slowdown in post-pandemic economic recovery. The COVID-19 related lockdowns and zero-tolerance measures implemented last year caused severe economic stagnation. However, this year's growth has not been remarkable when compared to that time. Even more concerning is the decline in private fixed asset investment, which is an essential engine for economic development. The year-on-year private fixed asset investment declined by 0.2, despite the national fixed asset investment growing by only 3.80. These official figures may have been embellished, and the actual situation could be worse. If the government wants to provide benefits to private enterprises, they should punish officials who made wrong decisions. Without acknowledging their alleged wrongdoings, how can we believe they won't repeat such actions in the future? For example, Mao Zedong's personality cult and autocratic system have been criticized in the 6th plenary session of the 11th Central Committee's resolution on some historical issues since the founding of the People's Republic of China, and Deng Xiaoping has also reflected on this in some speeches. However, Xi Jinping continues to enforce such practices. The state's coercion of private entrepreneurs under the guise of national interests is no different from that of bandits. Yet, the leader behind these actions holds multiple high positions, including General Secretary, President, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission. He continually urges others to dare to struggle, dare to fight. Under such circumstances, who would dare to invest in fixed assets, only to be fought against later? Given this situation, the party has not relaxed its regulation on private enterprises, even targeting delivery drivers. According to the Chinese media Huaxing Online, on July 18, the Party Committee for Delivery Drivers was established in Hunan Province with a gathering of 222 members across 19 party branches for delivery drivers. Such moves are seen as ironic and sarcastic by some netizens. Now, China is facing an economic crisis and is looking to utilize private enterprises. However, the development process faces many limitations, and eventually, it may be transformed into a socialist economy controlled by the state. Thus, apart from small businesses like street vendors, it is challenging to find people willing to invest in fixed assets and wait for the government to achieve common prosperity. Unless Xi Jinping steps down and there is a change in leadership, this is unlikely to change. Chinese Communist Party faces organizational issues. Young people struggle to survive. In 2023, China experiences a wave of corporate layoffs, exacerbating the job crisis for university graduates. As Beijing has long been suppressing private enterprises in various sectors and foreign companies are reducing their presence in China, the youth now faces a record 46.5% unemployment rate. The disappearance of the pandemic reveals serious structural problems. While China has twice as many graduates as a decade ago, nearly 12 million this year, the economy fails to generate enough job opportunities for them. Many of these graduates are now considering further education or striving for competitive but stable government jobs, which often require excessive qualifications. Some opt for overseas studies or work opportunities. The high youth unemployment rate worsens the graduates' pessimism. Mainland China's youth unemployment rate is nearly 6 times that of the United States and significantly higher than the Eurozone's 14. The slow economic recovery after the pandemic from April to June further highlights the issue. Beijing recently announced measures to revive the economy due to concerns about the slowdown. However, the long-term crackdown on private enterprises, particularly in technology, education, and real estate, has hindered them from offering job opportunities to fresh graduates and weakened the entrepreneurial spirit. Previously, high-paying jobs in private companies were the top choice for many Chinese graduates. However, Beijing's suppression and Western decoupling efforts have reduced job opportunities from foreign private enterprises. Last year, China's foreign direct investment hit its lowest level since 1990. Beijing's response to the high youth unemployment rate seems to be repeating past strategies. Observers compare it to the 1970s when millions of young people returned to cities from rural areas, but found little employment in the state-owned enterprises. This led to the emergence of private entrepreneurs as the government couldn't provide enough job opportunities. Super Typhoon Du Su Rui will land in eastern Guangdong in the coastal areas of southern Fujian. Typhoon Du Su Rui, the 5th typhoon of this year, is expected to make landfall on the coastal areas of Fujian and Guangdong, China, on the morning of July 28th. It may then move further inland. More than 10 provinces, including Fujian and Guangdong, will experience heavy to torrential rains. This typhoon is believed to be the strongest to impact eastern Guangdong in the past decade. After making landfall, Typhoon Du Su Rui will turn northward and weaken in intensity. But its circulation will persist for a long time as it moves northwards, impacting in Huai, Huanghai, North China, and other regions on the 29th. This typhoon is likely to be the strongest to make landfall in southern Fujian since 2017, and the most potent typhoon to affect eastern Guangdong in the past decade, bringing strong winds and heavy rainfall over a wide area. Due to the typhoon's impact, from the 26th to the 29th of July, more than 10 provinces, including eastern Zhejiang, Fujian, eastern Guangdong, coastal areas, Jangxi, Anhui, Haihui, and North China will experience heavy to torrential rains. From the 26th to the 28th, some areas in southwestern eastern regions, northwestern eastern regions, North China, and Huanghui will also experience moderate to heavy rain, with some places experiencing torrential rain. During this period, there will be 6 to 8 grade winds with gusts up to 9 to 10 grades in central and southern parts of Fujian and along the eastern coast, and winds of 9 to 12 grades with gusts up to 13 to 15 grades, or even more as time goes on. The Ministry of Water Resources of the Communist Party of China announced on the 26th that due to the typhoon's impact, water levels are expected to rise in rivers such as Minjiang, Dingjiang, Dilongjiang, Jinfujian, Hanjiang, Zhuangjiang in Fujian, Hanjiang, Ginjiang, Binjijiang, Sunjiang, in Zhejiang, Fu, Guangdong and Jiangxi, Wanhei, Huai River, Shiguan River, and Huai River main stem, among others. Among them, Zhulongjiang and Fujian may experience minor excess floodwater, and rivers such as Futungxi, Shaxi, and others may reach water levels 1 to 3 meters above the warning level. According to CTV News, due to the typhoon, Xiamen Airlines canceled 32 flights from the 27th to the 28th. The Xiamen Kinmen passenger route will be suspended from the 26th to the 27th, and the route between Xiamen and Guilingzhou for residents and tourists will also be temporarily suspended. Starting from 12:00 p.m. on the 25th, passenger routes from Xiamen Tourism Passenger Terminal to Shanghai Passenger Terminal in Zhangzhou will also be suspended. Daxiang News reported on the 26th that due to the typhoon, many supermarkets in Xiamen experienced citizens rushing to buy and stock up on daily necessities, leading to increased sales of bottled water, instant noodles, vegetables, and other items. Reports show China will have 10 million fewer babies each year. Last year, China's population experienced negative growth for the first time in 61 years, signaling the onset of an aging population and declining birth rates, which have become the basic reality that China has to accept. Mainland experts predict that in the next 10 years, the number of childbearing women will decrease by 4 million annually, resulting in an annual birth rate of fewer than 10 million. According to the data released by the Chinese National Bureau of Statistics in January 2023, the population decreased by 850,000 in 2022 compared to the end of 2021, marking the first negative population growth in China in 61 years. Reports pointed out that aging and declining birth rates are among the fundamental trends in China's population development and must be acknowledged as the current reality. Tang Exige noted that China is experiencing a situation where the trend of continuous population growth is essentially stopping. The report emphasized that the decline in childbearing women is not limited to Shanghai, but is a nationwide phenomenon, especially with a rapid decrease in the number of women in the peak childbearing age. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, during the 13th five-year plan period, the number of women in the peak childbearing age, 20 to 34 years old, decreased by an average of 3.4 million per year, with a decrease by an average of 3.73 million in 2021 compared to 2020. According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, China saw a peak in births in 2016 with 18.83 million newborns, but has experienced a continuous decline for 6 years with an average annual decrease of 1.5 million births. In 2021, the total number of births was 10.62 million, and in 2022, it further dropped below the 10 million mark to 9.56 million. The population size is a fundamental factor in a country's comprehensive national strength. The number of people forms the basis, and under similar conditions, a nation's strength is directly proportional to its population size. A rapid population decline will inevitably lead to decline. However, experts believe that China's declining birth rate cannot be reversed. China, along with Japan and South Korea, has one of the lowest birth rates globally, even falling below the rate necessary for population replacement, which requires each couple to have 2 children. Analysts. Xi Jinping's authority face a major setback and the party is in crisis. After Gang's dismissal, the official website of the Chinese Foreign Ministry swiftly erased all information about him. Analysts believe that Gang was a close ally of Xi Jinping, and his quick removal from office after only 6 months exposed intense internal power struggles within the Chinese Communist Party, casting doubt on Xi Jinping's authority. Experts suggest that Gang's dismissal is a failure for Xi Jinping. The sudden disappearance of Gang from public view raises questions about the lack of transparency in the Chinese regime and indicates ongoing power struggles within the party, undermining Xi Jinping's control over the political landscape. International observers view Gang's mysterious dismissal as a public setback for Xi Jinping, which highlights his leadership vulnerabilities. In China's closed system, many issues remain hidden from the public, but Xi Jinping's failures are evident to all Chinese citizens. Some analysts argue that this incident exposes Xi Jinping's lack of judgment, a problem that has persisted and intensified since he took office. Instances like government officials being promoted or demoted without clear reasons have fueled speculation about Xi's decision-making abilities. Gang's rapid rise to power and subsequent downfall, particularly his clashes with the former foreign minister Wang Yi, demonstrate internal power struggles within the Chinese Communist Party. Observers also point out that Xi Jinping might have faced pressure from powerful forces behind the scenes, possibly represented by figures like Xi Jinping, who are opposed to him. This event has likely emboldened dissenters within the party, leading to increased criticism and challenges to Xi Jinping's leadership. The dismissal of Gang reflects China's lack of stability and transparency in its political system. It also poses significant political risks for foreign investments and businesses in China, as officials can vanish from the public eye without explanation. Japan implements export control on chip equipment to strengthen blockade against the Chinese Communist Party. The Japanese government has officially implemented new regulations restricting the export of semiconductor manufacturing equipment, which has been met with dissatisfaction from the Chinese Communist Party. Experts believe that Japan's new restrictions have filled the gap left by past US blockades on Chinese chip technology, making the road for China's semiconductor development even more challenging. In order to support the U.S. government's efforts to contain China's semiconductor industry, the Japanese government announced the implementation of export controls on 23 types of high-performance semiconductor manufacturing equipment. The controls officially took effect on July 23, covering various stages of semiconductor manufacturing. Li Guanhua, leader of one of the International Technology Institute in Taiwan, stated, "Japan controls key materials such as photoresist or etching, as well as semiconductor materials used in polishing. If Japan restricts these areas, China will face interference in its development of advanced semiconductors." Li Guanhua also pointed out that Japan's export control on semiconductor equipment strengthens the U.S.-led blockade. According to Hong Kong media, the Singtao Daily, quoting industry insiders, Japan's restrictions on semiconductor exports are likely to disrupt China's plans and layout for autonomous chip production. In response to Japan's new measures, the spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mao Ning, expressed the Chinese side's dissatisfaction and regret. The CCP accuses Japan of abusing export control measures and interfering with normal semiconductor industry cooperation between the two countries. The Global Times, a CCU-controlled media outlet, quoted mainland Chinese scholars criticizing Japan's actions, suggesting that Nikon, Tokyo Electron, and other Japanese chip manufacturers will suffer losses due to their inability to enter the mainland market. Su Ziyun commented, "Dutch machines cannot be exported to China, and Japan's chip machinery and materials are also restricted from exporting to China. Taiwan's certain chips are also restricted, as well as South Korea's. This will indeed cause losses, but these are shorter. From the perspective of democratic countries' markets, they're much larger than China's." Feng Chongyi believes that Japan's shift from heavy reliance on the Chinese market to implementing new export regulations indicates its willingness to accept commercial losses in order to curb the CAP's military ambitions. Feng Chongyi stated, "Now they, Japan, have the same understanding as the U.S., with a difference in cognition. Economic interests are important, but compared to survival and national security, they are secondary." And that is today's episode. If you found this video informative, please subscribe and ring a bell to get notification. Thank you for watching and see you next time.